One of the unique ab exercises that I do is an exercise I call the band roundhouse elbow. Now this exercise specifically targets the obliques as well as the core, and it's a great functional exercise because it's great for building rotational power, which, as the name implies, is great if you're a martial artist or an MMA fighter who's allowed to throw elbows. It helps you build that real explosive power on those rotational moves. This is also great even for baseball players or softball players when they swing the bat. It's the same movement, that rotation of the torso. Now to do this exercise, you simply take an exercise band and you want to tether it to a stable base, such as, I've got a staircase here, but other options are a power rack or a Smith machine or other weight machines, as well as other structures like a pole or something. Just make sure it's stable because you're putting a lot of force when you're doing this exercise. Now you want to tether it to a height that's about just below shoulder height. Now, you don't want to go above shoulder height for the reason that if it's too high and the band is over your shoulder, then as you come around, you'll hit yourself in the head with the band. So, keep it tethered at a point just below your shoulder height. That way when you come around, it comes under your arm and it doesn't slip up and hit you. Now, you're going to take a shoulder width stance with soft knees. You want to keep your knees slightly bent. You're going to keep your abs pulled in. Bring this arm up so that it's parallel with the floor. I just take one of the canvas stirrups. I loop my arm through and then I hold it here in the crook of my arm. If that doesn't work, for those of you, my arm just happens to be the right size or it really stays in there nicely. If your arm is either too small and it keeps slipping up to your shoulder, or your arm is too big and you can't get it in there, you can also use an ankle strap attachment, which can be adjusted to the size of your arm. But anyway, so you're going to hook it up. You want to keep it there right in the crook of your arm out. I like to hold my wrist with the opposite hand, keeping your back nice and straight. You're simply going to rotate as explosively as possible. So, you want to focus on bringing that elbow around as if you were striking an opponent in front of you. While that power is being generated by the oblique muscles, which help to turn your torso, and you're also using your core muscles to stabilize you since you're fighting the weight that's trying to pull you off balance. Now, for those of you who don't have access to bands, you can simply do this in a cable as well. You get the same effect. You just don't quite get the same explosive power that you can build with bands. The reason I like doing these specifically with bands is because the bands provide a specific type of resistance called linear variable resistance. That simply means that as you pull the bands, the further you stretch them, the harder they get, the more resistance that they get, the further you stretch the band. When you're doing an explosive exercise like that, that means you're developing more power because you're never slowing the movement down. You have to recruit more fast twitch muscle fibers to continue that movement. So it's an exceptional way to build power on explosive type movements like that. However, if you're just doing this exercise to build up your obliques, and again, when I say build up, don't think of this as building blocky abs. The last thing that these exercises do is build blocky abs. It builds nice development in the obliques, which adds to a better looking midsection. You need to build up the muscle fibers in the abs and the obliques before you can show them off and have them ripped. So, if you're using this to just develop better oblique muscles, it's really not that critical that you use bands to have that explosive power. So a great option is to just use cables, and you get the same effect. You have that resistance through that rotation that you're doing, and that's going to help you to carve up your obliques. To do the cable roundhouse elbow, you simply adjust your cable pulley to a height, again, just below shoulder height. You want to put in a canvas stirrup attachment, and then again, same thing. Loop your arm through so the handle is there in the crook of your arm. Again, if your gym only has the metal D handles and doesn't have the canvas stirrups, it's probably going to be a little uncomfortable on your arm. So in that case, use an ankle strap attachment and just adjust it to your arm. And it's the same thing. You want to stand sideways to the pulley, step away from the pulley so you have resistance to the entire range of motion, and then again you're going to stand with a shoulder width stance, slight bend in your knees, back straight, arm out, and it's the exact same movement. And those are your two options for the roundhouse elbow exercise. Great way to work those obliques as well as the core. Give it a try.